For whatever reason, being neurodivergent has meant that in adulthood, I have almost a complete inability to feel my emotions in the moment. On one hand, yes, it's super frustrating and I feel like I'm unable to get rid of the ball of stress that sits inside of me from these emotions building up. And that's down to suppressing my emotions as a coping mechanism 100%. But something that's also really frustrating is when I do feel things, on the rare occasion, when the feeling is gone, I can't remember what those feelings were. I can remember the idea of them, but I can't remember what they felt like. When I was in college over in America, in Chicago, I got really, really sad. I was having super scary thoughts and the day-to-day pain I was experiencing emotionally was too much. And the reason I wrote a song about this is because I wanted to bottle that emotion. If I ever made it out of that state, I wanted to be able to know what that feeling felt like, of being so low that there was nothing that could pull me out. I find it really hard to listen to this song because it was such a real reflection of how bad my mental health was. And that's something that is really scary to look back on because I didn't realize at the time how close I was to the end. I didn't realize how depressed I was because I was so numb. I couldn't think of a more appropriate name for the song. And I don't think I could think of a better way to explain that period of my life than with this song.
Think myself sick, drink enough to find an excuse. Part of me hopes I do. Part of me hopes you say you're over me feeling this way. Still all I get is a babe, it's okay if you can't get it up. You're the muse to my apathy blues, and I won't feel it sting if I'm not.
I was drinking super heavily at this point of my life. I was using it as a coping mechanism, leaning on it as a crutch. I was drinking really dangerously. I would often get blackout drunk and go into the city in Chicago and just see what happened. I woke up on the sidewalk a couple of times, and that was my way of dealing with the pain. When the night started, I would make the decision to start drinking, knowing that I wouldn't stop. In my head, I was okay with the possibility that maybe I just wouldn't wake up. Maybe it would all be over, and it was just an accident. Drink enough to find an excuse. Part of me hopes I do. Okay, let's keep going. These lines.
You're the muse to my apathy blues, and I won't feel it sting if I'm numb.
You're the muse to my apathy blues, and I won't feel it sting if I'm numb. Those lines, I was kind of talking about alcohol. That was my way of dealing with the fact that I had to wake up the next morning. One of the side effects in dealing with my neurodivergence has been putting my emotions second in a bid to avoid rejection and invalidation. I started to equate my self-worth and my value with how helpful I could be to a person. When I was this sad and I was isolating myself so hard, pushing all of the people who were close to me out of my life, I was no help to anyone and I couldn't be, and I felt so worthless like that.
Maybe I'm going insane, I'm no help in this state.
Someone help me, I think I'm in pain. I think I'm a stone's throw away from the end.
Someone help me, I think I'm in pain. I think I'm a stone's throw away from the end.
But it's hard to gauge.
But it's hard to gauge.
When I was in that state of such deep sadness and frustration, and it surrounds you and envelops you so much, I didn't feel anything. I was just numb. I was just apathetic to it all. It was only in hindsight, after I started to get better, that I realized how damaged I was and how much it took me to get to that point and how close I was at that point from ending it all. This next verse, I kind of just go into a stream of consciousness, like a vomiting of all of my thoughts about the moment. And I remember when I was in the studio writing this, I wrote it all in about 5 minutes. It was just like a spewing of all of the thoughts that I didn't want to accept and didn't want to hear myself think onto a page. And I wanted it to feel like that. I wanted it to feel chaotic. This is how it goes.
Convinced that I know the only release from the weight of this feeling. Alienate close friends, tell me why, but I'm busy romanticizing when. So I lie for peace of mind while I fantasize. Tied up loose ends when I should be reaching out instead. Somehow I hold my tongue. find these things hard to say when I'm numb.
Okay, let's break it down. Convinced that I know the only release from the weight of this feeling. I was accepting to myself that I was contemplating unaliving myself. Alienate close friends. Tell me why, as in my friends are saying, tell me why you're feeling this way. While I'm busy romanticizing when. Like, I'm not even hearing them anymore. I'm not seeing the hands reaching out for help because I'm so focused on isolating myself, making sure that I don't burden anyone. And so while they're saying what's going on, I'm already thinking about not being around anymore. So I lie for peace of mind while I fantasize tied up loose ends when I should be reaching out instead. Somehow I hold my tongue. I find these things hard to say when I'm numb. Self-explanatory. Then we go into this. This is the first bit of the song. I feel like I put emotion into the lyric. I put like rage into the lyric. Well, this is how it goes. You get this crazy delayed bouncing around version of the first vocal. Moving everywhere.
Think myself sick, drink enough, let myself slip, I could give a fuck.
Builds to a
I won't
point.
let anyone in, I won't let them clean me
This
up.
is the final point
I
of
won't let
resignation.
anything
You know, it's the
touch
last cry before I accept my fate, that it's never going to get better. Like resolution of the track. I won't let anyone in, I won't let them clean me up. At the prettiest sounding point of the song, everything fades out and you get this isolated vocal.
You're the muse of my apathy blues, and I won't feel it sting if I'm numb.
This was a really dark time for me. I don't like to think about it much. I didn't ever see myself recovering, and the thing about feeling like that is there's nothing positive about it. You just don't care. All you want is a break from the pain, and you don't have the strength to deal with it yourself. You don't have the strength to pull yourself out. You need support. You need someone to force their way in and shake you and slap you around and say, I'm getting you out of this. But that's so unattainable, especially considering that if you had that, you probably wouldn't be in this situation in the first place. And so my aim for this song, as it sits there out in the world, is only that if someone is in there at that point and they hear it, they can feel like they're not alone in that feeling. And maybe that might be enough for them to say, you know what, I'll do it next week instead, you know, because it's so lonely at that point. That's all I really wanted to say in this video. I don't have any grand message or any advice. I just wanted to share my experience just so that it's out there. And if anyone else is experiencing a similar sort of depression or a similar sort of hopelessness, that they see someone talking about it openly, maybe they can take some solace from it. I love you guys. Have a good one.